Hello, my friends, and welcome to this, what I think will be a very interesting and informative, deeply informative series of readings where we're going to be looking at the North Node in each zodiac placement now. So this is the intro that's going to be at the front of every one of those readings that I will be doing with tarot and oracle cards and divination and channeling. But I did want to touch on the houses before you get into your actual North Node zodiac reading. It's really important to know about the house that your North Node is sitting in, because really that has a lot to do with the areas of your life that you are likely going to feel and struggle the most with this North Node that you have. So on the back end of every one of these readings, these tarot readings, is a whole big video on all of the house placements for the North Nodes. They're going to be time-stamped in the description of this video. So if you don't know the house placement yet of your zodiac sign, you can go to Astrology Cafe. That's the first one that's coming up in my head. There's a lot of different ones that you can check out. If I remember, I'll try to put them in the links to them in the description as well. You guys are always so helpful with each other in the comments too. I know people can do that also. I thank you so much. So yeah, I think it's important to know what that house placement is so that while you listen to this reading, it's going to have so much more influence on you really understanding it and being able to apply it to your life. Because let's say, for example, this happens to be the reading for North Node in Aries. But you know, like everyone coming to North Node in Aries is going to have at least all 12 house placements likely, right, that are going to represent where you're going to really feel it in the areas of your life. You're really going to, if you can meet these challenges, really find success. So, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. I have some notes here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I just want to say too, it tends to be the areas when we're dealing with our North Node, feeling these challenges, there's a tendency for the things that we desire the most, those end up not necessarily fulfilling us. We get them and we're like, this is not fulfilling, because we're always going to struggle with the South Node. Like that's what we're strong in. And I touch on that in the North Node. I don't think you can exclude the two. You can't, because it's your steps. So you can't stand on your South Node without taking a step forward onto your North Node. So you have to know what that step before was and why you feel so comfortable on it. So I think that's one of the really poignant ways to realize when you are getting a little, you're clinging to your South Node here. You have these things that you want in your life and you're achieving them and they're not fulfilling. It's kind of easy to achieve. It's something you kind of, I yearn for that because it's so familiar. So that can be one of the ways you start to kind of feel your North and South Node pulling. Another one is to easily slip into options when asked, to slip into the easy option, the familiar option, the comfortable option when asked to step out of our comfort zone. So North Node is not easy, but you've done it before. We've all done them before. We lived thousands of lives, and we're all on different sort of paths that are mirroring and mimicking each other in different times and spaces. So you've accomplished North Nodes before. So, you know, depending on how easily you seem to be pushing outside of your comfort zone is maybe just going to represent how many lifetimes you spent mastering this house and astrological placement. Yes, let me see my notes here. Yeah, I think I've covered it all. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, so now if you don't know your house placement, I would encourage you to find out what that is and then go to the timestamp and you will see the house placement for your North Node and the timestamps in the description. That'll take you to the back end of the video and you just come right, and I'll put a timestamp so you can get the reading again. This is very intense. has been very hard for me. There's been a lot of work involved with it, and I have to keep remembering to stay on top of it with those timestamps for you. So there you go, my friends. Enjoy your North Node reading. Welcome to 12th house placement for the North Node. I am going to be looking down quite a bit. My iPad here, I've made like a ton of notes because there's just so much information. And if I wanted to do this all from my head, it would probably take me like a year or so to try to study this. So I really just want to produce the readings because I am generally a tarot divinator. So 12th house, I am going to, start going over it here. So pay close attention. I am going to thank right now, advancedastrology.com. I got almost all my information from that website, and it's incredibly informative. So, don't be afraid to look more information up for yourself as well. So the 12th house, people with this placement tend to be hard on themselves. You want to be of service to others all of the time, neglecting yourself. Guilt and anxiety are often present with the North Node in the 12th house. The 12th house is all about connecting with the divine, forgiveness, and unconditional love. You should allow yourself to enjoy life more. No longer looking for proof of God, but finding it in yourself and in all things around you. Just knowing. Rewriting your perspective and pulling away from what you see as what is really existing. Instead, believe in your intuition and what you feel and can dream as being just as real as what you see with your own eyes. So with this placement, you have mastered the 6th house, which is your South Node. Your connection with your higher self and the universe becomes a major focus with the North Node in the 12th house. In the past, you worried a lot. The South Node in 6th house indicates a tendency for anxiety. So you perfected anxiety. Isn't it like, wow, gee, thanks universe. I perfected anxiety. We have to perfect everything. The North Node in 12th house, on the other hand, suggests that after you have done everything in your power, your soul has to learn to trust the universe to support you with the rest. North Node in 12th house, people have to develop faith. So this is kind of learning to let go of anxiety. Like there's just some things you can't control, and it's all going to be okay. You have a rational approach to life, even in cases where logic doesn't apply. The South Node in 6th house suggests that in the past, you were an extremely grounded person. You are used to taking care of yourself and others. You are very practical, and you navigate the material world well, keeping everything in mind, carefully planning and sticking to your plans. You work hard and you are persistent. I mean, it's a lot like it's Virgo. It's like the energy of Virgo, right? People with this placement often spend a lot of their energy helping others. Service is an important keyword of the 6th house. And with the South Node there, you excel at this. See, again, the things that we excel at, the things that we are very naturally attuned to, that's our South Node. So, okay. Breaking free from reality is challenging to North Node and 12th house people. But this is where real growth can happen. By learning to use your fantasy and imagination, you discover a new domain that helps you become who you are meant to be. So you can see right there, like thinking about like this 12th house, like this dreamy, fantasizing world compared to a Virgo. Like I would almost picture someone like a Stephen King, like the 12th house, all of that mystery and imagination that comes to life in his mind. You can actually make something with that though, but the 6th house is, well, you know what? You should probably write a PhD on the biomechanical, right? Like you gotta push that aside. It feels comfortable to be there, but this is what you're meant to grow. For the North Node and 12th house people, it is very hard to let go. In the past, you mastered being in charge, and you want control in every situation. However, the North Node in the 12th house indicates that in this lifetime, you have to learn to trust the universe. Going with the flow is where the growth can happen in this case. The North Node in 12th house suggests that it is time to develop your intuition. The 12th house is the house of the collective unconscious that knows the answer to any question. In this lifetime, your soul wants to learn to tap into this reservoir of wisdom. So that, my friends, is your 12th house. So now I would go and watch your reading in whatever sign your North Node zodiac sign is sitting in, and you can see how you apply it in a particular way of your life to this. So thank you, guys. Hello and welcome to your 11th house. So I am wanting to thank advancedastrology.com because I pretty much used it mostly for all of the information that I gathered. And I do encourage all of you to learn more about your house placements as well for this, because this is not just limited to what I have here. But I tried to get as much as I could. All right. So having said that, the 11th house. This is not an easy position of the nodal axis. There is a strong conflict between your individuality and your ability to fit in. In the past, you are a very dominant personality, striving to take up the central place. At the same time, it is hard for you to step back and follow the rules of the group. Even though you craved friendships, the North Node and 11th house suggest that in the past, you didn't fit in well in any circle of friends. Many North Node and 11th house people are lonely as children and young adults. It takes time for you to develop social skills and to learn and be part of a group. You often find it challenging to follow the ideas of other people. You may struggle with electronics. This is funny too, right? Because it's such a funny thing, but electronics has to do with the 11th house, and that's what you're trying to master. So, you know, if some of you out there struggle with electronics, always seems to go wrong in your hands, or it breaks down, or I don't know, it just doesn't work. Your challenge is to work and master aspects of digital communication. I kind of laugh at that because my North Node is Aquarius. It's not in the 11th house, but I have so many problems with electronics, I swear to God. So, but you've mastered the 5th house. So this is where you have that step. It's really important to think about what our South Node is, because that's the foundation. That's the steady step that we stand on as we take a step up into the North Node. It supports you in a way, but it's also asking you to step forward. So you've mastered the 5th house. People with the South Node and 5th house often shine as individuals. In the past, you developed a royal attitude. This is actually a really interesting placement. And you probably had a position where you were adored by many. Some people with the North Node and 11th house came from an aristocratic background. This placement suggests a highly creative... Actually, I'm going to stop right there because I think that could be very likely for you. Because again, I'm not the 11th house, but I'm Libra North Node, Leo South Node. And I had, I don't know what they call it, a regressive astrological reading done for myself by a professional astrologer. And he actually identified even me as possibly having an aristocratic background, but more like a shiny guard that never went to battle. But so it's interesting, right, how that is mimicked here in the house placements as well. This placement suggests a highly creative person who knows how to enjoy life and wants to have fun. North Node and 11th house people are very often entertaining, joyful personalities who are fun to be around. That's your natural state, right? Like it's your South Node. At the same time, they can find it hard when people are not paying special attention to them. The questions of individuality and being part of something bigger, where you are only a faceless point in the mass, are key when talking about the 5th house and 11th house. It is not easy to give up on your individuality with this placement in the birth chart. In the past, you stood out in some way, and situations where you are not in the center of attention can be challenging for you. The North Node and 11th house suggests that in this lifetime, you have to focus more on how you help your community. Contribution to society is an important key word of the 11th house. People with this placement tend to focus on themselves more, and they need to learn to recognize the individuality of other people. Taking a look at the world from the perspective of others can help you see more clearly. So that's what I have for your 11th house, my friends. And as I said, like, this is just a very small portion. You can find more, I'm sure. So yeah, so thank you very much. And so yeah, now I encourage you to go to the beginning of the video and watch the, what do I do? Yeah, the cards, you know, yeah, that thing. Thanks so much, guys. Bye. Hello and welcome to my fellow 10th house placements. So I am a 10th houser, and it's a very interesting placement, my friends. So let's get started in it. Oh, before I do want to thank, I am at the beginning of each one of these. I want to thank advancedastrology.com. Their website is where I got the majority, if not almost all, of my information, because it was just so well done. So I do want to give them a thank you at the beginning of each one of these. All right, 10th house. When the North Node is placed in the 10th house, this is your professional life and the role you take up in the eyes of the world. In this lifetime, this is a really key, this is the one thing I found with this house placement, in terms of the possibility for tremendous growth, this house placement seemed to what I was able to pull out. And it makes sense when you think about what, that Saturn rules this house placement. This is where you can have the most tremendous growth in a lifetime with this placement. But it's a challenging lifetime. So you earn it if you get it. In this lifetime, you can experience tremendous growth in this life area if you are willing to face the challenges and lack of experience. There's a lot of that energy of, and I can, you know, being a 10th house or two, you guys are going to have a little bit of a different information session here because I am in the 10th house with this too. So I can kind of lean on my own personal experiences as well. A lot of fake it till you make it energy. And, you know, some people say, well, no, you're not really being authentic. No, you have some sort of knowledge about something and you realize that, you know what, the only way I can really grow in this is just jump in and do it. So that is a big part here of the 10th house is you got a lack of experience, jump in and do it. The North Node is usually accompanied by issues in the corresponding aspect of your life. Oh, yeah, okay. With the North Node in the 10th house, your soul wants to take responsibility for your life and become the master of your own ship. So if you think about that too, like think about Saturn is constrictive, but with Saturn, it's asking you to meet the challenge. If you can meet the challenge, your rewards can be much greater than what Jupiter just hands it out like this, right? So in the past, you likely stepped back when there was an opportunity to fight for your goals in this world. This placement indicates that you often sacrificed your needs, prioritizing your family and others because you've mastered the 4th house, right? Chase your ambitions and aspirations, even if it may not be accepted by family, friends, or community. Depression and exhaustion can be feelings to work through in this challenging but potentially greatly rewarding placement. Strong emotional reactions and thinking through them are common in this placement, especially since you mastered the 4th house, your South Node, Cancer. So yeah, there's like the whole idea too of 10th house representing like the devil in the tarot with Capricorn. It's like the things in your own mind that can hold you back. And the reading that I had astrologically, actually it was kind of funny. The reader said, you know, with this kind of chart, you can either get depressed or exhausted. If you're exhausted, it means you're working through these things. And I thought to myself, should I tell him that you can actually get depressed and exhausted in this placement? Because it can be very challenging. In this lifetime, your soul wants to focus on understanding your emotional response on a rational level and letting go of the patterns that do not serve you anymore. Be more independent, set your ambition free, and replace insecurity with thorough planning and executing on these plans. So, you've mastered the 4th house. Well, why is this? Oh, no, sorry. I think I talked about this. Sorry. I can read this, yeah. The South, okay. The South Node in the 4th house suggests that in the past you focused on taking care of others' needs. You feel a strong pull to make everyone feel safe and comfortable. So you've probably mastered like a happy home life with the 4th house. You know how to look after your parents, you know how to create a home, you know how to make everyone feel comfortable, you know how to have roots and foundation. And see, that's kind of one of the things that you're going to find, and I find in this lifetime, every time I try to have roots and a foundation, it kind of gets pulled away, or I start to feel like one of the things I talked about in the introduction, like, this is not fulfilling me, but this is what I want. That's your South Node talking to you, and your North Node going, hey, think about that. So you may even find yourself traveling a lot or moving around a lot because you're meant to really grow and expand. You feel a strong pull to make everyone feel safe and comfortable. However, it happened that you did this at your own expense, helping others when you yourself needed to help too, right? Because you mastered that. So at some point, you just became so good at helping and making everyone else feel comfortable, you forget about yourself. Looking after others and making a good home are natural to you. You may not even want to leave your home very often with this house placement, but you must not go out there and carve your identity. I have to say, the pandemic, oh my God, like DoorDash and grocery delivery and Netflix, it's like, wow, I can just stay here. But I can't, you have to get out. So, my friends, that is your 10th house placement. It is one of the more challenging ones, apparently. I feel like everything that I read in my own chart is one of the more challenging ones. But there is a tremendous potential for great growth, like tremendous growth in this. So yeah, that's what I got for you, my friends. Good luck with that. And I encourage you to go to the beginning of the video for whatever zodiac sign that you've come to now, and you can see how you're applying this to that placement. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your 9th house placement. So I do want to say a thank you to advancedastrology.com because their website was paramount for me doing this, like collecting information. I pretty much utilized them for the most part. It was a really good, factual, well put together, just excellent. So I do want to thank them before I do each one of these. So the 9th house, my friends. The North Node in 9th house suggests that in the past, you mastered the art of gathering information and focusing on your immediate surroundings. However, if you are too close to something, you inevitably miss some details. Sometimes it is best to take a step back and observe the bigger picture. To put it short, this is a key life lesson for people who have the North Node in the 9th house. In this lifetime, you can grow by learning about philosophy, developing your spiritual side, and admiring the wisdom and the abundance of the universe. Once you've mastered these things, you can become an excellent and inspiring teacher, showing others with your example that life has a meaning. People with the North Node in the 9th house tend to get lost in details. There is a strong need to ensure that you can get all the information you can. However, North Node and 9th house people tend to be all over the place. You have all the building blocks, but you also need a plan and a vision of what you want to create. This is a key life lesson with the North Node in the 9th house. This placement suggests that you easily get interested in things, but you lack follow-through. You become excited when you find out about something new, but as time passes, your excitement disappears. You tend to jump from idea to idea. Finding meaning in life is one of the most excruciating questions for this placement in the natal chart. Many people who have their North Node in the 9th house feel that they are unfulfilled. You know, I just want to stop there because just to me, that's something I talked about right at the beginning of the video. Like, you know, when you're going after things, but you feel unfulfilled even when you've achieved them. So that's very strong in this 9th house placement. That's a really difficult feeling to work through. So I feel like it's even validation, you know, like if you experience that a lot in your lifetime, like I just don't feel fulfilled. What is wrong with me? There's nothing. It's part of your challenge. Learning to trust your intuition is essential with this placement. The 9th house is the house of the higher mind, the super ego that guides you in your life. The North Node in 9th house suggests that this part of you was ignored in the past. You wanted facts and data, but data is not everything. You also need faith, represented by the 9th house in astrology. Developing this faith is what helps you grow with the North Node in the 9th house in the natal chart. You need to find wisdom in yourself. Learning about spirituality, philosophy, religion can be helpful for North Node in 9th house people. Another key life lesson with this placement is developing a sense of freedom. So you've mastered the 3rd house with this placement. The 3rd house represents your immediate surrounding, your neighborhood, people around you. The South Node in 3rd house suggests that in the past you paid a lot of attention to what others thought about you. You have a strong desire to stay in one place, both physically and mentally. However, this is not where growth can happen. You may be easily swayed by what others think you should do, particularly by the opinions of siblings and other close family members. Higher education might not have been a priority in your past lives, but in this North Node placement, it will be important in expanding your knowledge and spiritual beliefs. Being an avid reader or even a teacher of some sort would provide you with some fulfillment. So that's kind of something to think about too. Because, you know, like the traveling, you can travel with your mind. So if you even, maybe there's a yearning to physically travel, but you don't have the funds to do it, you're just living in a particular type of situation where you can't physically travel, read. Like don't feel that you are not fulfilling something in your life by not physically traveling, because it could just be that this part of your life for working and mastering the 9th house is a physical travel of the mind. And maybe you've already done in some lives, like the knowledgeable travel, like the travel that happens in your mind. The physical travel could be something that you've already kind of mastered working through this node, or it could be something that you'll be mastering in another lifetime or later on in this lifetime. So don't, because when you feel unfulfilled, that is one of, like, I feel like the strongest urges in anyone's lifetime is to feel fulfilled. So when I saw that in your house placement, I thought, well, that's difficult. So find the things that give you fulfillment, and don't say, well, you know, why couldn't it be this? Because even if you can't physically travel, you can be an avid reader. You can learn so much. My grandfather was like that. He actually wasn't much for traveling very much. Physically, but God, did he ever read? He read a lot. So, oh yes. So I'm pretty much done. So that's what I have for you, my friends. So you can go to the beginning of the video and watch the actual divination portion of your North Node. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, welcome to your 8th house placement for your North Node. I do want to thank advancedastrology.com before I get into this, because I pretty much use them almost exclusively for the information that I'm about to provide for you. It was an excellent website. So having said that, I do want to also mention that, you know, don't just feel like it's just this. Please, more than encourage you to look beyond what I have here, because there's going to be more information than what I have, but I try to be as thorough as possible in a very condensed way. So now we're going to get into your 8th house. So the 8th house is a scary house in the chart wheel. It is connected with death, trauma, and transformation, but also with regeneration and rebirth. Transformation is a major focus in your life with a North Node in 8th house in your birth chart. However, transformation and letting go feels unfamiliar to you, therefore scary. With this placement, you have a strong tendency to sacrifice transcendental experiences for comfort and safety. Material comfort is very important to you. And if you don't take care, you can find that you abandon your relationship with other people for the sake of creating abundance. But relationships with others are not everything. Your relationship with yourself also becomes important with this placement. With the North Node in the 8th house, it is time to learn that you don't have to do everything on your own. Having faith in life is one of the most important life lessons of the North Node in the 8th house. You often undergo deep transformation, triggered by loss or some traumatic experience that teaches you that your value is intrinsic, and no matter what happens in life, you can find strength deep within. The North Node in 8th house suggests that the North Node in the 8th house suggests that you have your South Node in the 2nd house, as the lunar nodes are placed directly opposite each other. So having said that too, So, and some of the things that I've already said, they may sound kind of Taurian. So you have mastered the second house, and the second house is that step, that foundation that we feel really comfortable on. But it's important that we acknowledge it and we know how it's affecting the step we make forward, because that's the place where we feel comfortable. But, you know, this North Node is asking you to keep one foot on that South Node and put one foot on the North Node and progress up. So you've mastered the second house. With the North Node in the 8th house and the South Node in the 2nd, the questions of values, financial assets, being self-reliant become major focuses. You feel that you have to accomplish everything on your own without accepting help from others. You are used to being strong. Perhaps in the past you had no choice but to find strength in yourself. North Node and 8th house people feel very uncomfortable asking for help. Sharing is one of the most important life lessons with the North Node in the 8th house. Not only on a physical level, as in sharing your money or belongings, but also sharing yourself. You have a deep desire to bond with someone, but people with this placement are often afraid of being vulnerable. The North Node in the 8th house is often characterized by extreme possessiveness. There is a tendency to hold on to what is yours, and you feel anxious if you have to share them with others. The North Node here suggests a fear of loss. You unconsciously feel that you have to own things in order to enjoy them. Sharing makes you feel uncomfortable. Both you sharing your resources with others and others sharing their resources with you. I almost wonder too if some of you grew up with siblings or a sibling that, you know, always wanted to use your things or always wanted to take your things, and just get like really frustrated with that. Another tendency of this placement is to delay enjoying life. First comes work, then comes play in your book. However, it is important that relaxing and having fun also serves as a way of regeneration. Regeneration is one of the most important keywords of the 8th house in astrology. With this placement, you are a very strong person who can endure a lot. However, in the first part of your life, you probably had to hide your real emotions and be strong even in situations when you were falling apart within. With the North Node in 8th house, it is crucial to ask for help and accept it. People with this placement often encounter events when they simply need to rely on someone else. I want to say, yeah, you probably find yourself in situations where you need to rely on someone else. Maybe your car breaks down and you know how to change a flat tire, but or maybe you're borrowing a friend's car and they don't have the stuff in there. So what do? Their car doesn't have all the things you would have typically had in your car to be prepared. So somebody comes by and they're like, oh, I've got everything here, I can do it for you. There might be some sense of like, you know, I'm capable of doing this. I don't really need your help. You kind of do need their help. So you probably find yourself in situations like this. Also, as I was reading this, I literally channeled like an image of like living in a neighborhood where people think it's okay to just borrow your stuff. It's like, how has this happened to me? Like, oh, I remember George let me borrow his weed whacker last week. That probably means I can borrow it whenever I need it as long as I return it. It's like people using your shit. Like, what's going on? So it's a challenge for you. I don't know. Nobody said the North Node was easy. So I really imagined this stuff for you. So it was really, I think it's funny too, because I'm an Aries. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got to share stuff. Oh shit. Yeah, you can't just do it on your own. So I can kind of sympathize, even though it's not my placement. I find that kind of interesting. So that's what I have for you guys for your 8th house placement. So you can go to the beginning of this video now and watch the astrological sign, the divinated reading for that. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your 7th house placement. Before I get started, I do want to thank advancedastrology.com because I used almost their website pretty much almost exclusively because it was just so well done and I thought it was really thorough. And I tried to be as thorough as possible and kind of condensed here. So I do encourage you to look into more information for yourself. But this is what I got for you. So the 7th house. Now, it is time to shift your focus from yourself to others. I'm going to be all over this reading because you've mastered the 1st house and I'm an Aries. So in the past, you were often alone and you didn't have to make compromises. You were independent and self-reliant. However, individualism is not what helps your soul to grow in this lifetime. And when it says in the past, it's kind of like talking about past lives. It might be parts of your past life, this lifetime, but it's mostly past lives. In this lifetime, one of the key lessons for your growth will be your relationship with others, especially committed relationships and marriage. Your partners will teach you the most important life lessons that your soul wants to learn in this lifetime. I'm going to say you could have challenging marriages, I would just think with this, because not necessarily that you do. There's also like a gradient in this too. I mean, depending on how close you are to mastering this North Node, certain challenges are going to be easier and easier to meet. But it's just because it says that, like, the most important life lessons are often some of the hardest ones that we work through. So, and because we're talking about relationships with others and even marriage, which is one of the biggest relationships that you have with another person in this lifetime, is it might be challenging. They might always be kind of pushing you into directions that don't feel comfortable. Both romantic and business partners contribute to your growth on a spiritual level. Other people are your greatest teachers with a North Node in 7th house. So this feels like maybe I can relate because I'm an Aries. And it's like, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. I know how to do it. I can figure it out. If I don't fall down, I'll get up. So yeah, like acknowledging that other people are going to be your greatest teachers in this house because you've mastered yourself, man. So how can they teach you anything? Like, you probably feel a bit of that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's kind of what I think. Mastered's the 1st house. This placement also means that your South Node is located in the 1st house, the house of self. Finding balance between you and other people is what helps you grow. Needless to say, this is not an easy process, but it is what leads to a sense of fulfillment and happiness. Once you start to align your life with your North Node, you feel that you are on the right path. Well, actually, that's kind of nice too, because that's not really come up in any of the ones that I've read so far. I mean, a lot of times the North Node, you're always kind of feeling like there's certain things that you're gravitating towards and doing, but they're not fulfilling you. But again, it might have to do with a wax moving in my mouth, how many times you've tried to master this placement. The North Node in the 7th house suggests that in the past you were focused on yourself in the first place. Many people with this placement didn't have partners in the past. You had to deal with everything on your own. There was no one to support you but you. At the same time, this gave you great freedom to do as you wish. Because of this, compromises and cooperation are usually hard for you. You have a strong will and you are very independent with the North Node in the 7th house in the natal chart. The North Node in 7th house can also indicate a tendency to expect others to be like you. Even though you don't admit it, you want others to be, think, act like you. And if they aren't, you tend to abandon the relationship. The North Node in 7th house also suggests that you don't like taking advice from others. You want to do things your own way. This is not necessarily bad, but as you mature, you learn to recognize that listening to others can broaden your horizon and perhaps show you a better solution. This placement can indicate being socially awkward, especially in the beginning of your life. The North Node in the 7th house can sometimes suggest anxiety when it comes to meeting people and especially getting close to them. You know, it's kind of funny because even as an Aries, I always was like, I felt I was kind of shy in situations with new people earlier in my life, and I'm just right out there, like all over it. So that's interesting. You start to feel very uncomfortable as the relationship develops. Oh, so this is talking about, okay, so just anxiety, especially getting close to them. So it kind of like continuing on that path, you start to feel very uncomfortable as the relationship develops, as an emotional bond starts to form between you. There is a strong tendency to avoid people with a North Node in 7th house. However, this is not where you can grow, and it often happens that no matter what you do, life puts you into situations where you simply have to be more social and interact with people. Because yeah, that's all that Libra, right? Like having a real balance between the relationships that you have with yourself and everyone around you. So that, my friends, is the 7th house. That's what I have for you. So I would encourage you to go to the beginning of the video now to watch whatever zodiac placement it is that you came for the tarot card, the divinated part of this reading. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hello and welcome to your 6th house placement information session. So I do want to, before I get into it, I do want to thank advancedastrology.com because that is the website that I used almost exclusively for the information that I am about to impart upon you. And I do have my iPad here. Why am I saying all this? You know what? It's because this is 6th house. You're coming from the 12th house. You're all mystical. Why do you have notes, Cindy? Because that's where you're going, honey. Going with this shit. I do have notes because there's a lot here. So, yeah, I said everything I wanted to say, I think, right? Yeah, okay. The 6th house. The North Node in the 6th house suggests that in the past, you were drawn to the mystical side of life, sometimes replacing reality with dreams and fantasies. You possess an innate talent for spirituality, helping others, service, and you can easily tap into the creativity of the subconscious mind. If the rest of the birth chart reinforces it, your intuitive side is very strong with the South Node in 12th house. In this lifetime, your soul wants to create order, right? I'm telling you why I have notes here, and channelize the creative flow and the structure of your daily routines. By paying attention to details and being more organized, you are able to use the transcendental qualities of the 12th house in a way that helps both others and yourself. So we're going to talk about this one. Actually, we talk about the 12th house here. We talk about all your South nodes for all of these placements because it is a step that you're standing on to walk and take a step up to your North Node. So you've mastered the 12th house. With the South Node in the 12th house, you have a lot of dreams, but you don't have the routines to turn the dreams into reality. You enjoy the realm of fantasy and imagination, and you navigate in this domain like at home. The dilemma between dreams and reality is very strong in the North Node in 6th house. However, this placement suggests that it is the 6th house, the house of reality, that you should prefer. It hurts, doesn't it? I'm saying that too because I got like 4 or 5 planets in the 12th house. I mean, it's not to do with the North Node, but, you know, reality sucks. The things going on in my head are much better. Well, that's the part about pushing out of your comfort zone. Focusing on this house leads you to your purpose. The more organized, strategic, detailed you are, the more fulfilled you will feel with this position of the lunar nodes in the natal chart. You enjoy solitude and being on your own. You are very introspective and need to spend time alone. There is nothing wrong with this when done in moderation. However, there is a tendency to quit if things are not running smoothly, whether in a relationship or in your professional life, and retreat from the world. The North Node in 6th house also suggests that you are prone to escapism. Running away doesn't serve you anymore. North Node and 6th house people can easily get stuck in dreamland. In the past, there was a tendency to favor the mystical world of dreams, to paying attention to details and working diligently on a day-to-day basis. You are very familiar with chaos, and now your soul wants to create order. With the North Node in the 6th house in your natal chart, your soul wants to learn to take responsibility for your actions and learn to be the master of your own ship. That's funny. Yeah, because this is so familiar because I did 12th house. I started with 12th house in this group of readings. And I think it'd be kind of interesting for people to know, like, to really bond with people that are like, for you, if you're coming from the 12th house and trying to master the 6th, right? Get to know people that have mastered the 6th and trying to master the 12th. Because I think I told something similar to them. I said something very similar to them. The 12th house is the most mystical house. Its transcendental qualities are detached from the everyday reality. In the past, you were used to being away both physically and mentally. This placement suggests hardship, standing up for yourself. There was a tendency in your past to just drift and see where the flow will take you. However, in this lifetime, you need to develop an analytical approach to life. Make a plan, find out how to execute it, and do the work. This placement suggests that in the past, you were prone to being the victim of others. You easily give away your power, but this makes you feel drowned. It is necessary for you to learn to rely on yourself in the first place. You cannot surrender anymore. There is no more room for growth in this place. Inaction is something you need to leave behind with a North Node in 6th house. Wow. That feels like a challenge. But that's what I have. So that's what I have for you. So yeah, it's funny how some of these I relate to them just because of my own placements, not like I can kind of see how you would feel this in your life. Because yeah, I have a lot of placements in the 12th house, a lot of planets. So it's like you just naturally slip into that. And the real world just seems like so much bullshit. But that's what you gotta do. I'm just relaying the information, my friends. So that's what I have for you for the 6th house North Node. So now you can go to the beginning of the video and watch the astrological video that you've come to based on that for yourself. So thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your 5th house information session. So my friends, the 5th house, I'm going to be able to relate to you guys a lot. Well, because this is the opposite of me. You guys are 5th house for your North Node, and you are 11th house for the South Node, and I'm the opposite of that. So I'm trying to master what you've already mastered, and you're trying to master what I've already mastered. And it's funny I would say that, because I was just mentioning in the house placement I did before this one, that wouldn't it be interesting to get to know people really well, that like you're the opposite like that, so you kind of help each other out. I think that would be cool. So here we are together, huh? So I do want to say, before I really get into it, I want to thank advancedastrology.com. Yeah, I should say too, like, this is not, I'm not getting paid for that, to say that. They were just really useful, and I credit where credit is due. Their website was great for me to be able to develop this. So North Node, 5th house. The North Node in the 5th house suggests that you have to learn to be yourself. Self-expression is key with this placement. In the past, you preferred to be part of a group instead to as expressing yourself as an individual. But now it is time to shine and learn to be who you really are. There are a few key concepts with the North Node in 5th house. People with this placement tend to be afraid of expressing themselves. This placement can indicate anxiety related to being judged by others. So you have mastered the 11th house. Touché for you. I'm still working on that. In the past, you often came across as detached and reserved. Oh, that's all I have to do then. Call her a bitch. No, I'm sorry. You let few people really close to you. You had a lot of contacts and acquaintances, but few close friends. Some people with the North Node in 5th house feel lonely, even though they are surrounded with people. This placement suggests an impersonal attitude that lacks the warmth of Leo in the Sun. You can grow as a person by developing a positive, more emotional, warm-hearted attitude. You tend to stifle your personality with the North Node in 5th house. The North Node in 5th house also means that your South Node is placed in the 11th house. The 11th house is the house of large groups of people and circles of friends. With the South Node here, you have no problem fitting in a group. And I want to stop there and say as well, like, fitting in this group is almost too, like, perhaps even self-sacrificing your own notoriety, or being acknowledged for your ideas, because it's for the better cause. It's for the greater good of everyone. So it's okay if I don't get that acknowledgement, right? People with the North Node in the 5th house are often afraid of being judged. You choose to not make choices, just do what the group wants. Many people with this placement are afraid of standing up for themselves and prioritizing their own wishes. You are easy to downvote in a group of friends. Oh yeah. Oh, you are easy to downvote in a group of friends. Wow. Yeah, so yeah. So if you had a group of friends and they were kind of voting on what, maybe it's an important vote. It's not necessarily about, well, no, let's say, I was going to say, like, let's say it's a restaurant where you're going to go to eat. Maybe you're vegan, okay? So, or even like you have some sort of dietary restriction that could really upset your stomach, like just throw you off for days or weeks if you eat there. And they all vote, and like, let's say in this group of friends, like 70 or 80% of them all want to go over here, and the smaller minority wants to go over there. Going over there would be so much better for you, because there's a lot of options of what you could eat. Going over here, you're going to end up eating shit that's going to screw you up for like days or weeks. The majority of them are going to be much happier over there, and I don't want to upset the majority of the group, right? Like, so that's a bit of self-sacrifice, because the 5th house would say, I can't eat there. You know what? You all can eat where I'm going to eat. You can't eat there. Reclaiming your individuality is key with the North Node in the 5th house. You also want to embrace your creative side. Any form of creativity, self-expression is very beneficial with the North Node in the 5th house. I want to say too, like, and if you're kind of early on trying to master this house placement, maybe you're not finding yourself particularly comfortable with being creative, or you might think, well, people are going to think my artwork sucks, or people are going to think my poem is dumb. Who cares? You just put it out there, put it out there, put it out there. Do it. It's good for you. Whether you enjoy painting, acting, arts and crafts, literature, dance, cooking, creative self-expression is one of the best things you can do. This placement suggests that in the past you're afraid of being different than your peers. Now it's time to be who you really are. Oh, that means I have to be just like my peers. Oh, it sucks. Because I'm reading this in reverse. See, it's not easy to go to your North Node. I'm quite happy in the fifth house, but I can't be there anymore. So, and you guys can't be in the 11th house anymore. You gotta work towards that fifth house, my friends. So that's what I have for you guys for your North Node house placement information session. So yeah, you can go to the beginning of this video now and go to the point where we actually start doing the divination for whatever astrological sign it is that you happen to come to. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hello, a fourth house North Node placement friends. So here we are. This is your information session on your house placement for this. I do want to say a thank you to advancedastrology.com because I use that website almost exclusively for the information that I created in this. And kudos where kudos is due. So yeah, I'm not getting paid for that. Yeah, I use them, so I'm going to say. So my fourth house friends, with the North Node in the fourth house, there is a strong pull towards spending your energy in your career and professional life. In the past, this is what you did and what you have already learned. However, this is not where growth can happen in the present and in the future. You've mastered the 10th house, right? And that's all about like career and how the community sees you. If you have your North Node in the fourth house in your natal chart, this also means that your South Node lies in the 10th house. The lunar nodes are directly opposite each other. The 10th house in the house of career, professional life, ambition, public reputation. It is the natural house of Capricorn. The South Node here suggests that in the past, you were concerned with responsibility. You took things very seriously. You were focused on hard work, and perhaps you left little time for your loved ones or for having fun. Now, I want to say, just kind of deviating from what I have written here, just like what's being described here. Now, this is for like masculines, feminines, or anybody really, because anybody can take maternity leave. Like that, I think that would be a really good example of someone who's like worked on their career through the early part of their life. And then even as a guy, like you could end up marrying somebody or being with someone, or you could be, you could have same-sex couples or whatever. But you worked a lot on your career because it was really natural for you. You knew your path, you knew how to do it, you know how to advance. And then you ended up having a family. And let's just say the most practical thing was for you to stay home and raise the kids, get the kids to school. And like, oh, this doesn't feel natural. I'm not doing this very naturally. Because it's almost like your North Node saying, haha, this is where like it's this more focus on like family and others and nurturing. Control is very important to you. The North Node in fourth, and you can't control kids and all that shit. It can be very frustrating. The North Node in fourth house is a classic placement of a control freak. There's a tendency to want to control everything and everyone. What can cause you trouble in your family life? Unless other placements in the chart compensate for this. So you're not a Hitler. You don't have to be. Your emotional side can be underdeveloped with the North Node in fourth house. In the present, you can grow by listening to your intuition instead of relying on structures and rules. Authority is another important question in this placement. In the past, you're often an authority person. So when they say past, too, they're talking about your past lives. Like, you've mastered this shit. You know how to do it, man. You know how to step up and tell everybody what to do because you can get it all in order. You can do that. So you were often an authority person who was used to being in the position of power and control. It is very hard for you to accept that you can't control everything, but this is exactly what you need to learn in order to level up on your spiritual journey. The South Node in 10th house can indicate a domineering, emotionally detached person. People with this placement have a strong drive to accomplish great things. You are very ambitious, and you are used to being ambitious and shooting for the stars. This is not to say that you should stop having great goals, but rather to approach them in a more intuitive way. In the past, you were oriented on your career, and there is a tendency to, when things go wrong, require effort in your private life, go back to your office and keep working. The North Node in the 4th house and the South Node in the 10th house can indicate a workaholic. Work and responsibility can take up a numbing role in your life, even turning into escapism. So even there, like that could even just be saying, no, I'm not going to stay with the kids, or I'm not going to be available to go watch the play, the grade 4 play, or, you know, like, I'm going to go work, or, you know, that the kids have been like a nightmare. I'm saying that because it's 4th house. It's like your home. Could be your parents too. Looking after your parents as they get elderly, finding other siblings to do that so you can go to work. While you very often excel at your career, I actually saw an Excel spreadsheet when I said that, it is not what life is supposed to be only about. The North Node in the 4th house suggests that there is no more room for growth in this direction. And really, that's kind of the thing for everybody's North Node. There's no more room for growth in that direction. You're just, no. The 4th house is also a parental house in astrology. So yeah, actually I mentioned parents. The North Node in 4th house is often a sign that one of your parents had high expectations for you. They wanted you to do your absolute best. This parent probably envisioned a very bright future for you, and they sometimes didn't care about your emotions, only about accomplishments. Well, that's really interesting. That's a very personal side that comes into that. So that's something that, you know, you could have been, why was I achieving? Because of that, like that parent was almost like pushing your South Node. And in a way, that's your own souls lining up in this lifetime to say, you know what, if that happens enough, it might push me a little more towards my North Node. So that is what I have here for you in the 4th house. So it's quite interesting, my dear friends. So yeah, so that's what I got. So you can go to the beginning of the video now, and you can watch whatever zodiac that you've happened to come to, and now you can apply it kind of in this way with this bit of knowledge. So thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, and welcome to your, what is, done so many of them at this point, 3rd house North Node. So 3rd house North Node information session. Before I get into it, I just want to do a quick thank you to advancedastrology.com. I'm not getting paid for that. I just really utilized their website a lot for this research. It was really, really informative. But of course, this is not everything that there is. So feel free to explore it even more for yourselves. I try to condense it as much as possible, with as much information as possible. So having said that, let's get started. My 3rd house North Nodes. With a North Node in the 3rd house, the main focus is on connecting with others. The 3rd house is the house of communication and learning, the house of Gemini in a natural chart. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that you have to change your focus. Now it is time to get to know your immediate surroundings and prioritize hands-on learning. Yeah, so this actually feels like someone going who would have felt very natural with like a much higher education, perhaps even specialized, like a biomechanical engineer or chemical engineer, you know, like, and maybe you've traveled to different countries utilizing that information. Like, that's big, right, and expansive, and it's very specialized even. Whereas I kind of think of like Sagittarius as more like university and broad degrees and travel, and then like Gemini, like with the house, and that's like what we're kind of talking here, is more like high school learning, college, maybe to like entrepreneurships, like being like sort of going from a master of something to the master of nothing and knowing a whole lot of shit about a lot of little things. So it's kind of an interesting, it might make you feel small, actually. I think it might make you feel small, but let's see what the rest of this says. Yes, you know, okay. In astrology, the 3rd house is connected with learning, the thinking process, and connecting with others. In a nutshell, this is what you need to work on with the North Node in the 3rd house in your natal chart. So people, you know, like it could be small town stuff too, compared to like bigger and broader things, like more worldly things. This actually has the feeling, you are my George Baileys. You all are my George Baileys. Yes, that's exactly what this placement is. Oh, God, but it's so changing. God, the things that you can change in this lifetime. Oh, this is kind of profound. I haven't had anything like this come in the entire house placements yet. But that's from It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey, he had all these, he was going to get a great education. Actually, he was. I think he was going to be a bridge engineer or something. He never got that education. He ended up giving education money to his sibling, his brother. He stayed in the small town, took over his dad's business, because if he didn't do it, the bank was going to do it, and people were going to have shitty homes. Like, he did so much in the community. Y'all are George Bailey. I love that. All right. Mastered the 9th house. In the past, you were very focused on finding your purpose and your beliefs. And that means like past lives. Could have even been early on in your life. You were absorbed in ideas and you often forgot about practice. Your eyes were so fixed on the end destination of the journey that you forgot to make a move and start going in the direction where you want to go. The North Node here means that your South Node is in the 9th house. The lunar nodes are exactly opposite each other in the chart. In the past, you were so focused on ideas that you forgot about the people around you. God, that's so George Bailey. In this lifetime, you have to learn to see people surrounding you too, and learn to work with the people around you, and not just work, but also engage in small talk and have fun. Some people have to go on a long journey to find their purpose, but in your case, it is right under your nose. Oh yeah. I want this placement. But you guys are like probably like, oh. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that in the past, you spent a lot of time searching for meaning and wisdom. This can also mean your past in this life and your past lives. You enjoyed reading, spirituality, philosophy, education, everything that could get you closer to understanding the world and your role in it. You have already mastered this in the past. And at this time, you could have sacrificed connections with others. In this life area, you are underdeveloped, and in this lifetime, you are given the opportunity to learn through exchanging ideas with others. In the past, you were so focused on your vision that you forgot about the details with the North Node in the 3rd house. A natal North Node in the 3rd house suggests that you have to learn that the devil is in the details. There is a tendency to forget about execution. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that actions are just as important, if not even more important. You love to research and think about ideas, but you probably procrastinate too much. The North Node in the 3rd house also suggests that you need to develop some skills. Well, don't we all? The sign of the North Node and the chart as a whole reveals more information about this, but you can find working on your skills very fulfilling. With the North Node here, it is possible that you overlooked the importance of technical skills in the past. In this lifetime, you need to prefer the concrete mind to the abstract mind. Again, it's almost like imagining someone who in the past, you might have been building bridges on paper with math, with whatever kind of math you use for that shit. But in this lifetime, you were building the bridge. Communication and writing are very important with this placement. You can develop as a person a lot through writing and journaling. Some people with the nodes here have a natural affinity for learning languages. The North Node in the 3rd house suggests that interacting with others can help you grow. Some people with this placement have poor social skills. Don't worry about that. That's been said to a couple of people. So it can happen that you are so absorbed in your inner world that you forget about others around you. Needless to say, this leaves little room for your social skills to develop. At the same time, connecting with others is the direction you want to go. Staying in the same place for a long time can feel suffocating for the North Node in the 3rd house people. From time to time, you have a strong desire to get away and explore the world. However, this can turn into a form of escapism. There is a difference between taking a break and running away, and the North Node in the 3rd house suggests that the second one is a very attractive option to you. So there you go. Yeah. And I'm just, there's something coming in here with that. It's even like George Bailey. I don't know. If you guys haven't watched It's a Wonderful Life, I just feel like it's your placement here. It just really, really is. And then he finds that North Node at the end and he loves it. It's just like, wow, look what I have and look what I've created in this life. So there we go. That's what you guys have for the 3rd house placement for your North Node. Thank you so much. You can go to the beginning of the video now So for whatever astrological North Node this happens to be that you came to. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. Bye. Hello, North Node second house friends. Welcome to your information session. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to advancedastrology.com. I'm not getting paid for that. I just really utilize their website a lot, so I want to give credit where credit is due. Yeah, so let's get started. Second house. So this is funny because now I'm thinking, you know what? Oh, maybe it's a little bit opposite. Like, you know, your North Node is the second house, but your South Node is the 8th house. This one's really sexual. So I don't know, maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe you're starting to master your North Node. But even Taurus, the second house is a little bit, yeah. Okay, so the key themes of this placement are building up self-confidence, becoming self-reliant, focusing on the physical world, and learning to be present in the moment. The North Node in the second house suggests that the questions of self-worth, self-esteem, being self-reliant come to the front. People with this placement often struggle with a sense of insecurity. This can become important both as in financial security, but also on an emotional and spiritual level. You're also insecure about what you find valuable. I just want to stop right there. I just want to say, like, that whole, you maybe at least early on in life, and like there's going to be a gradient here depending how many lifetimes you've been working on perfecting this North Node and coming away from this South Node. But with that said right there, I'm really getting a bit of a message about like codependency, like early on in life, kind of leaning into even using sex to get certain things that, you know, make you feel, boost up your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your self-worth. Okay, so anyways, let's keep going. So you've mastered the 8th house. With the North Node in the second house in the natal chart, you have your South Node in the 8th house. This placement suggests that you have mastered the life areas connected with the 8th house, and it is now time to focus on the second house in this lifetime. The 8th house is a mysterious, intense house where deep transformation, alchemy, and trauma happen. I mean, I just want to say right there too, I think that is one of the harder houses to master. So you guys mastered that? That is hard. That is a hard house to master. This house is connected with other people's money, secret investigations, sex, near-death experiences. It is the opposite of the sober and steady second house. With the nodal axis here, these houses become more emphasized in your natal chart. With the North Node in second house and the South Node in the 8th, it can happen that you have some secrets in the past. These secrets can be quite dark, and they are often an important influence in your life. Even though most people don't notice it, sometimes it stays hidden even from you. Resolving these issues can be helpful because, as they say, you are only as sick as your secrets. Oh, the North Node in second house suggests that it is time to move away from these secrets and create a new reality. The second house in this house of values, so right, like that's what Taurus is. The second house. When the North Node is in the second house, you need to create your own value system. You are often uncertain about this topic, looking to others to find out what they find valuable. The North Node in second house usually needs time to find out what is important to you. So, you know, again, like, don't be hard on yourself if you've been struggling with this. It's normal, natural. With a North Node in second house, you can be too vulnerable to the opinion of other people. You define your self-worth based on them. Learning to base your opinion about yourself on your own worth is one of the most important life lessons of this placement in the natal chart. In the North Node in the second house suggests that in the past, you might have used the life strategy of relying on others. You could easily get help, and you attracted things to you naturally. This placement suggests that you have to learn to provide for yourself in this lifetime. The North Node in the second house can also indicate traumatic experiences in the past, I would imagine. Perhaps you lost your partner, or there were some other sudden losses in your life. These events force you to leave your comfort zone. This placement suggests that you have to find your strength in yourself in the first place. The author does say that a lot, in the first place. Trust issues and power struggles could also be part of your past, but they don't serve you anymore. Sex and intimacy are often important when the nodal axis is placed in the 2nd house and the 8th house. The North Node in 2nd house suggests that in the past you used sexuality as a means to get what you want. Oh, so I sense that. I didn't read through all of the, like, well, I skimmed because there was so much here. I got like paragraphs and paragraphs, baby. Yeah, I sense that. Sexual as a means to get what you want. With this placement, you often possess a lot of sexual power. You are very charismatic and other people are drawn to you. You can easily get benefits in exchange for sex. If there are other indicators in the chart, this placement can even indicate prostitution. Well, no, everybody goes their own way. So that's interesting. This is a really interesting. It kind of intrigues me a bit because my Lilith is in Scorpio. So I'm like, oh, you guys are so interesting. But yeah, so that's what you got there for the 2nd house placement and what you've actually mastered with your South Node here. So you can go to the beginning of the video now for whatever astrological placement you actually came to for your reading. And you can go see that now and kind of have this backup knowledge with you for that. So thank you so much, guys. Bye. Welcome, 1st house North Node. Oh, here we are, the last one. Before I get started, I do want to thank, I have for each one, as y'all go to timestamp so everyone hears it. I do want to thank advancedastrology.com. I'm not getting paid for that or anything like that. I just use their website almost exclusively. And so it was really helpful in composing all of this and putting it together. So I want to give credit where credit is due. And now, my friends, the 1st house, let's get started. With this placement, the most important thing is to develop a sense of self and learn to exist on your own without relying on a partner to define you. This is not to say that you should be on your own, not at all. But you should focus on creating your own identity and learn to set boundaries. With the North Node in 1st house, your relationships tend to drastically improve once you learn to be independent. We'll get to your other lessons below. I think there's a lot in this one. I remember that thing. Oh God, it's the last one in so many. In a nutshell, this position suggests that you should build a strong identity. In the past, you were prone to defining yourself in relation to other people. This placement in the birth chart asks you to find out who you are as a separate person. So your North Node is the 1st house, which means your South Node is the 7th house, and that's the house that you've mastered. So that's your stepping stone, right? It's the area, it's the step that you stand on that feels comfortable and familiar. It's easy to navigate, but again, you're taking a step 1 foot off onto the North Node. With the North Node in the 1st house, you pay too much attention to other people's opinions and what they want you to do. You are eager to please and you prioritize harmony in a relationship. At the same time, it is important to be aware of how this makes you feel. There are times when you want to help or listen to someone else, and there is nothing wrong with that. However, this should make you feel fulfilled and happy, giving from a place of love. With the North Node in the 1st house, this is not always the case. You prioritize the other person, even if it makes you feel bad. When you feel frustrated and taken advantage of, you probably wandered back into the domain of the South Node. Being aware of this emotion and learning to recognize it can help you a lot. I kind of like this one because there's a lot of little pointers in it about, you know, when this happens, when you feel this way in the situation, it's an indication that you were not stepping into your North Node at some point before that situation or feeling started to occur. And that's really helpful to be able to like, oh, wow, yeah. You also need to let go of the abandonment issues and clinginess so common with this placement. The South Node in 7th house suggests a tendency for feeling worthless if your partner leaves you, which can lead to staying stuck in dysfunctional partnerships. Loneliness is often a recurring pattern in the lives of the North Node in the 1st house people. With the North Node in 1st house, the question of identity and independence comes to the front. Your identity is often tied to other people. In the past, you learn to focus on others, what they want and need, what are their expectations of you, how they want you to behave, and what actions they want you to take. I mean, if you think about it, okay, just saying, 1st house, Aries, I'm an Aries. So If you're pleasing everybody, you're not pleasing anyone, and you're not pleasing yourself. So I really get that from that last little bit that I read. The North Node in the first house also suggests that in the past you were too dependent on people close to you. In this lifetime, you have to learn to be independent. This is one of the key life lessons for you now. The need to be an individual is often suppressed with this placement in the native chart. For example, you might agree to do something even if it's not what you would actually like to do, just to please your partner. Or anybody, really, whatever that partner could be, parent, sibling, friend, business partner. It is hard for you to know who you are. It often happens that you have to face challenges in life where you can learn how strong you are, and they can help you find your own power. Being self-reliant is important with the North Node in the first house. With a North Node here, issues related to self-confidence are also likely. People with this placement often suffer with low self-esteem. Learning that you are capable and that you can trust yourself is part of your soul's mission in this lifetime. It is unfamiliar to you to meet your own needs first. For that matter, it might not be easy even to recognize your actual needs. Yeah, so again, like that to me, like little statements like that seem so profound. Like if it's something that you're struggling with, I'm not crazy. It's like my planets, man. Yeah. Whenever I say that, I think of Jessica Rabbit. What did she say? I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way. It's kind of like saying, I'm not bad, my planets are just aligned that way. I'm not crazy, it's my planets. When the North Node is placed in the 4th house, the South Node is in the 7th. As they are opposite each other, we get that. Your past self used the strategy of the sign Libra, but it is time to explore the zodiac sign Aries now. For you, the real growth lies in replacing the balance-seeking cooperativeness of Libra with the boldness of Aries. The first house is all about you. It is literally like whenever you're balancing relationships, finally putting you on the scale and taking that into account. The first house is all about you, and this is what you should focus on in the future, no matter if it is hard and foreign territory. At the same time, this tendency can make relationships hard for you. You might feel that you give everything and you get nothing in return. You spend a lot of time and energy doing your best to be there for your partner. The North Node in the first house suggests that you make sacrifices more often than your partner or other people you are in a relationship with, such as your friends and business partners. It can happen that this can make your partner feel bad too. They often don't ask you to do it or to give up on your needs, but this behavior is so natural to you that you are not even aware of this tendency. It can happen that you choose partners who are selfish in one way or another. Needless to say, this leads to even more frustration. Right? Because it's almost like if you're with a selfish person, they're going to let you know right away what their needs are. I don't want to do that. This is what I like. I don't know. They don't even ask about you. But because you're coming from a place where you're so used to serving other people's needs, well, it's so easy for me to identify what their needs are because they just kind of make it obvious. And again, that's not, well, what do you want? What do you feel? It can happen that you choose partners, needless to say, this leads to even more frustration. When young and not aware of this placement, you are often attracted to partners who can be domineering or even straightforward tyrannical. Creating and maintaining balance is hard with the North Node in first house. You are used to fulfilling the needs of other people and making sure that they are happy, to the extent where you feel like a doormat. This is not only the case in romantic relationships, you also give in too easily in friendships or in business partnerships. With this placement, you have to learn to set boundaries. It's simply a must for you. Some people have to learn to be more cooperative, but this is not true for North Node in the first house people. You need to stand up for you, honey. Your relationships will improve once you learn to set emotional boundaries and find your center in yourself. Once you learn how to say no from a place of love and peace, things get better in this life area. And that's it. That's what I have. Y'all can do it. Y'all can do it. I just, this one, actually, it's funny. It was the last one and it had the most information. So there you go. It's kind of funny when you say that it's the last one because the nodes work in reverse. So some way I kind of wonder, like, if you're all getting close to like completing an incarnation period on Earth here with that. And, you know, the last step here is really, you can't leave Earth till you understand you, right? So, yeah. All right. That's what I have for y'all. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, wait. So now you go and watch your zodiac reading, right? So that you can apply it. you can apply this information to that at the beginning of this video that you came to. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hello, North Node Scorpio. How are you doing, my friends? How's it going in this lifetime? Because this is a hard placement. I think it would be a hard placement. Anyways, because, yeah, your South Node is Taurus. So, and Taurus is like work hard, possessions equals stability, safety. My value is in what I've achieved and what I've got here. Look, everyone, I've got it. I feel safe. So, and Scorpio too is like other people's money, other people's stuff. I almost feel like this is the position where you might kind of start off in life, even having like parents or an upbringing that dictates to you, you know, this is what you should do so that you have a good foundation in life and that you can make a lot of money. Or you just see your parents struggling and you kind of decide for yourself, you know what, this is what I need to do because I need to have this and I need to have that and I will feel stable and comfortable. And then you probably kind of get onto that track and then like what happened? So, I don't know, it falls apart or you lose the job or you don't get that. And then you might rely on a loan from someone or it's just, right? Like it just feels like you go from being able to accomplish these things and find security in what you can do and create for yourself. But if you're moving into Scorpio, death, sex, and taxes, deep issues, other people's money, it's all about death and regeneration. And that's not really an energy that Taurus feels comfortable in. I just feel like this is a placement where you're going to feel torn apart. Because who would, though, with death and regeneration? I always got to hand it to my Scorps, like, in any kind of placement that you have it in, because it is so difficult to understand ourselves in one way in our lifetime, and then have that just ripped away from us. And okay, now figure out what you are now. Okay, or like to have certain things ripped away from us that, you know, symbolize to us stability and security and safety and comfort. And you don't have it now. I feel cold and alone. So it's an interesting placement. And again, encourage you, if you haven't, to check out the house. Because that's all at the beginning of this. You can see what house. Because the house, the information I do about the house is, should be kind of helpful in terms of what area of your life you may feel it the most in. So let's get started in the actual reading. I am using the Angelarium Oracle deck, and I'm using my Energy Oracle deck, and I'm using my Starman Tarot as well. So I'm going to ask, what are you being asked to do? North Node, it's asking you to do stuff. Okay, and what you should embrace to activate this, you know, what you're being asked to do. And then we'll see what your next challenge is. So let's see for Scorpio North Node. They've perfected, they have mastered the node of Taurus. Now they gotta let it all go. Let it all go. Because the first thing you have here, what are you being asked to do? 3. Okay, well that's easy. 1, 2, 3. I like how organized you are. Actually, one of the things that I read about this is one of my favorite sayings that I learned a long time ago when I was quite young, out of college, and I was just working for the first time, and I made, it wasn't a huge blunder, but I went to the wrong customer or account that I had to go and service. And I should have probably known better because it was, anyways, it was a Jewish, in a very Jewish area of Toronto. And it was a medical building. And typically I would only be going there as a service person, like after 2 or 3 p.m. on Fridays. But I went like on Wednesday at 10 a.m. So anyways, the guy who was running the building, I guess who owned the building or managed it, he said to me, he said, Cindy, you need to learn how to work smart, not hard. I was like, huh, I like that. What is this man talking about? I swear to God, you know, you have people like, you know, they say you have soulmates in your life, and some of them were there for like a second. And I mean, I was in and out of meeting this older gentleman who was like just an account contact once a month for a couple of years. But that changed my life. Nobody had ever told me that one. Huh, these words sound wise. I'm going to do that. Boy, did I do it. But that was actually That was one of the things I specifically read when I was reading online to try to get more information than just what I would pick up on this, was learning to work smart, not hard. Because Taurus is a toiler. They will toil and toil and toil and toil. Well, Scorpio is quite brainy. So there, I was like, oh, I like that. That's one of mine. So you have right hand empathy and angel of silence at the bottom. Why does it seem darker in here? Maybe it is. It's a very stormy day here. Oh, I haven't even flipped. I'm going to your underline. Look at that. It's like I'm leaping ahead. Maybe that's kind of what your energy is here. Okay. What are you being asked to do? Angel of visions. Tap into your spiritual side. That's for sure. I want to pull them all. Oh, let's see. What you should activate to embrace this. Angel of time. Oh. That's an interesting card. One of the things it talks about is like the human souls being the grains in the hourglass of time as they fall through. And then some make their way to Angelarium. So embrace the concept of time. That's an odd message for your placement. I would think that, like, to me, maybe I'm wrong, unless I get a new download on that. I've always felt that time is a very three-dimensional thing. And Taurus is a very three-dimensional thing for me. So what you should embrace to activate this is some sort of concept of time. Is going to help you have some sort of a vision. Your next challenge is the crown, spirituality. Just keep pulling it out. Sorry, my son's at home, so he comes out. I can hear him come out of his bedroom, and I'm not sure, is he coming up the stairs here, or is he going down the stairs to the kitchen? It sounds like he went down to the kitchen. Okay, so what are you being asked to do? What you should embrace to activate this? And your next challenge is spirituality. Some aspect of spirituality. A vision. It's like a vision, right? Happy family. What are you being asked to do? Envision a happy family even. That's almost like so specific. Envision like what you would want in terms of happy family. This almost feels like it's going to have something to do with manifesting something for yourself, this reading, but let's see where it goes. What you should embrace to activate this is time. Give yourself the time to fully envision this. Walking away. What you should embrace, the time it takes to walk away from what you don't want. I'm now hearing the physical aspect of walking away as only one aspect of the time needed to dispel and break things down. There is an energetic element that is also required. Your next challenge is spirituality. Broken heart. Well done. Welcome to Scorpio energy. Angel of strength, hostilities, the garden and the gate. Scorpio. But you know what? It's funny. So I have a special relationship with my Scorpio tribe, my Scorps. We'll get into this underline in a minute. So I'm going to have to, because I know you're not Scorpios. You're just North Node Scorpios. Scorpios often have some of the hardest readings that I do, but I've just learned over time, like with the comments, they're like, yeah, we know something, we're fine, we're there. I'm like, because like their life is always about things being broken down and rebuilt. It just blows my mind, you know, how well perfected they can be at it. But you are trying to get to it. This is not easy. This is not easy. So I will apologize if I come off a little too much, like trying to, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try not to do that. Because I know that I'm not reading Scorpio. I'm reading North Node Scorpios. I don't know, maybe like, because something here about you could be walking away from the concept of family. Again, there is that energy like Taurus, because that is a very possessive thing. Like, I have family. I am this because I have. Taurus is I have. Aries is I am. I don't know. Use it after that. I forget how it goes. But those two I got down. That's my sun and my moon. So I am and I have. So this is I have, but walking away. You should embrace walking away and the time it takes to do that. Christine, your next challenge is spirituality and broken heart. When the things around us break our heart, that is when we really find our spirituality often. Sadly, it's kind of how it works. You know, a lot of times people don't pray for anything until they've been given a brutal diagnosis, or they've just, someone important to them has gone missing, or their life starts to break down. You know, it's funny how all of a sudden we hit prayer. You know, it's just amazing because God and the angels, they get it. They're like, it's okay. We haven't heard from you in your entire, like, 38 years or 48 years or 50 years. Now you're praying to us, but we're here. So let's see. You might be facing some sort of heartbreaks. You might be, your next challenge might be recognizing that spirituality is full of heartbreaks. And that is the God honest truth. Spirituality is not, actually, I talked about it in the North Node Sagittarius. Did I do it on YouTube or the extended? I can't remember now. I was basically talking about how, like, I think it was an extended, like, a lot of the cards in here are kind of scary. But that reminds me of, like, a lot of the stuff that you read in the Bible, and even Hindu. There was all these, like, different gods killing each other and doing this and doing that, and even like all the gods were always doing like these horrible things to each other and stealing their wives and stealing their kids or killing their kids and ripping them apart. But now spirituality is, I'm going to meditate and comfortable. Yeah. This is that, because Taurus would be like, spirituality for Taurus is on some level would be like Epsom salt bath, candles. All those are good things, but that is not the be all and end all of spirituality. A big part of spirituality is the pain that because there's a yin and a yang. You can't all have good stuff. You're literally doing a yin and a yang here. Death, sex, taxes, deep issues, other people's money, your possessions, your income, your values, your self-esteem. Right? This is a hard placement. And that's what this feels like. Your next challenge is the hard part of spirituality. It's not the comfy blanket of spirituality. It's not the yoga retreat of spirituality. Oh, did I finish shuffling this? Yeah. Because so much spirituality these days is, I want a good reading to tell me about good things that are happening in my life. Like, these things are nice, but you have to be realistic. Just because you want it to be good doesn't mean that yin and yang doesn't exist, that dark and light doesn't exist. If you're not going to look at it, let me tell you, dark is going to come up and bite your ass. It is. Okay. This might be one of the first times I don't have it. I've been doing in these readings, because like this deck is still fairly new. to me. I mean, I get a lot of information from the cards already, but I have been like doing a little pause once I get all the cards out. There's a cut in the video because I go and I spend some time in the book, but I have been doing that over and over and over again to the point where I am kind of actually really getting familiar with all the other messages that come with these cards. But this is clear. I'm saying this might be the first video where I don't actually do a cut here. I want to go right to your next challenge because that's speaking to me the strongest right here. Your next challenge does have to do with a spiritual aspect of your nature. It does have something to do with the difficulty of moving from Taurus to Scorpio. There is a lost inspiration. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to mince words or fluff it up. There's a lost inspiration here and a new direction that is found. The lost inspiration is definitely kind of like breaking your heart. This is unfortunate, but I do want to say it has kind of the feeling of like a 10 of swords even, like it's the last tear to fall. This is kind of like the promise of no more pain after this, although I don't know with North Node and Scorpio. Yeah, there is a lost inspiration here. This Ace of Wands is followed by the World card and then the Chariot. You're finding new inspiration. You're finding a new direction to go in. But, and right, because walking away, what you should embrace is walking away. You are one of many souls. I don't know. I just found this card a little bit harsh. You know, we're all just, well, really, I guess, yeah. We're all just little grains of soul sand in the hourglass of time. And at any given point, some of us are going up the hourglass and some of us are going down, how it's being turned. And some of us are even popping out of the hourglass and going to Angelarium. Embrace walking away. This is a really tough reading because the messages that are coming in, I'm biting my tongue, but I don't know if that's part of your journey just to hear it this way. It's like you're not the only one that's had to do it, and others have survived it, and you will too. Isn't that tough? Like I had to channel that. That's channel. I wouldn't even. I mean, it's true, but I would find that hard to say that to somebody who's going through a difficult period or about to go through something difficult. It's funny, I'm reading this backwards because now I'm going to what you should embrace to activate this. You should embrace the 5 of Cups, the Star, and the 4 of Cups. This feels like detachment from possession. Because the only thing that really matters when everything else is pulled away from you is you, the authenticity of you. When on either side of you, you have emotional disappointment, and on one side you have emotional disappointment, and on the other side you have disenchantment. The only thing that really is a solid here is you. Oh, there's black goo coming out of these cups. Is there any good cup here? They all look like shitty cups in the 4 of Cups. This 4 of Cups. Usually there's one divine one being handed to you by the angel. Right? There's a hand here whose fingers have been mutilated, cut off, and a hand and a heart in the hand. Like it looks like it could be squeezed. There's roots coming out. God. Your pain is your root system. Your disenchanted heart will become, at some point on this journey, the strength and the vehicle for nutrients to fuel your dreams. And I say it that way because the roots are not the nutrients, but they find the nutrients and they find what you need. So this is kind of realigning your guidance system. What are you being asked to do? Now, this part, maybe you're meant to read. Maybe I'm meant to read. I'm reading this backwards. I haven't done that for anyone. I started here, I went here, and I went here. Where everyone else, the first thing I focus on is what you're being asked to do. And then the next thing I focus on is, well, what you should embrace to activate this. And then we focus on your next challenge. But that's not how I'm reading this. And it actually makes more sense because this seems completely detached from this. This is when I tell you what tarot cards you have here, they're really beautiful. You have the Queen of Cups, the Prince of Pentacles, and the Four of Wands, sitting with the Happy Family and the Angel of Visions. I almost feel like some of you are either experiencing, I feel like you're already experiencing the next challenge, which is funny, right? You're already experiencing the next challenge, which is the difficult part of spirituality and spiritual growth. The biggest parts of spiritual growth that anybody ever achieves or experiences are usually through the hardest points in their life. So, okay. So you've done that. You're doing it. You're moving. Embracing walking away. Wow. Because now you're walking away from disappointment and disenchantment. Finding the solid within you. And I say the solid, like the one thing that you can always count on. So what are you being asked to do? Well, you are being asked to, because yes, death and rebirth. So perhaps you've been on a very difficult road, and the reading style of this is being presented to show you that now you have a rebirth. Now, all that's really required of you is to envision beautiful things in your life, because just the fact that you've experienced difficult things, you're not meant to stay in that, because that's not what Scorpio energy does. It will get in there, but it will find its way out again and experience beauty and happiness. That's the rebirth process. The roots. Getting ready to feed this nutrients to your dreams, because this vision, the Angel of Visions, feels like a dream for yourself. And perhaps it has something to do with what the concept of a happy family is. With the Queen of Cups and the Four of Wands, it just feels like love and companionship and joy and celebration. And with the Prince of Pentacles, it's taking love slowly and methodically. It's not a tornado. It actually, in some level, it feels a bit like it's even allowing you or even utilizing an aspect of the South Node. I think that makes sense. That's come up a few times in these readings, because all the tools that we add to our tool belt, you're kind of still meant to use them. It's not like those tools get taken away. You mastered it. You got it. You get to keep those tools. And the Prince of Pentacles is very Taurus energy. So taking this vision, creating a vision, don't even rush what the vision should be for you. Take the time. Take the time to embrace your vision. Don't force your vision to happen or don't force the vision to be like, okay, I need to work on this right now. No. Oh, okay, so now I see, this is interesting reading. We've gone backwards here, haven't we? You have the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom. Well, that's really beautiful. And it's kind of funny because we see these four people sitting. These four kind of golden, ghostly silhouettes sitting on that pentacle. And then we have like 2 adults and 2 kids. And 2 adults and 2 kids. There it is, like your vision. Yeah, really utilizing your Taurus South Node to create this vision of stability. But it might look different from what you've always had or what you thought you would have. Angel of Strength, hostilities in the garden and the gate. Could be, you know, at some point not walking away. The garden and the gate. Because she's walking away. Embrace this. So either walking away from something that's been painful, find your new direction, walking away from disappointment, and the only thing you take forward with you, right? Because you're not really possessing physical things as you move forward in this. You are possessing you, the thing, and you've got cups here. So how you walk through the gate is the most important thing. It's not what you take with you outside of you. It's what you take with you inside of you. Maybe that you've been hostile towards the gate. I don't want to go through it because you feel like inexperienced. But, you know, the funny thing is, the minute you start opening the gate, you're not. Because then this little child that stands at the gate turns into this adult woman walking through the gate. Self-love. Oh, wow, these cards are really channeling now. Angel of Silence in the right hand, empathy. Self-love. Self-love. I was really hearing that with these two. Self-love. That makes it so much easier when I don't have to stop there. This feels like one of the fastest readings I've done. Is it? Or did it just feel like that? It's maybe with the Angel of Time card. But that's what I'm getting. I'm literally like not really getting much else. You know, let me do a quick, I might not even edit this. Yeah, no, because I know that. Keter. Let me just see if there's anything else with Keter here. The crown, spirituality. Where did Keter go? These are not in any kind of, well, if they're in order, I haven't figured it out. What embodies that which is beyond our comprehension. So like even that even just explains to me right there, like when bad things happen to good people. Like, why did this happen? Because we have to often ask that question too. Why do bad things happen to good people? There's all sorts of horrible atrocities that happen all the time to innocent people, gentle people, kind people. But it honestly is just an experience. I guess if we could detach more and witness this as not everything, it's literally like the tiniest moment in time in a soul's growth and development. One must envision Keter not as the, oh, this is interesting, not as the object that can be perceived, because that is a very Taurian thing, but as the light that is cast upon it. Keter's light is beyond knowability, a timeless expanse of pure consciousness. Ooh, time. Only through respect for our own limitations do we begin to see the shadows of its nature. This feels like a limitation because this is like something exciting and spontaneous and even like a great idea that never got off the ground, or just something that gets crushed or ended. But then you find a movement with this Chariot. And look at this, and there's the consciousness happening. He sees himself beyond his own experience. Seeing yourself beyond your own experience. So there you go. That's what I have, North Node Scorpio. I'm going to go do the extended. In the extended, I call it kind of like South Node. So I'm going to look at what you're being asked to stop doing, what you should soften your grip on or change your concept of, and your next blessing. So there you go. Thank you so much, North Node Scorpios. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.